All right, guys, let's get into it. This is an amazing day for the markets. Wow, what a great day. No, I'm just kidding. Absolute bloodbath out there. We're going to talk about that today, why the markets are dumping, what I think is going to happen, and most importantly, the good news out of all this. And I'll say the good news right now out of all this is that this doesn't have anything to do with crypto. And that's a positive. This has nothing to do with FTX collapsing or Sam Bankman-Fried getting arrested or Coinbase going out of business or I don't know, something happening with MicroStrategy or something happening with the Bitcoin blockchain went down. This has nothing to do with Cardano. Charles Hoskinson turned out to be a scammer. Ripple getting sued by the government. What you're seeing right now, this massive correction, dump, has nothing to do with crypto. It has everything to do with recession fears and what's going on in Japan, which we're going to talk about in a second. First of all, we'll start with the Dow. The Dow is down 1,000 points. Crazy, crazy dump right now in the Dow. Dow drops 1,000 points. NASDAQ 4% in global market rout. Fears of U.S. recession were the main culprit for the global market meltdown after Friday's disappointing July jobs reports. Investors are also concerned that the Federal Reserve is behind in cutting interest rates to bolster an economical slowdown, with the central banks choosing instead to keep rates at the highest in 2 decades. So a lot of people are still blaming the jobs numbers. That was certainly a catalyst, but you also have to look at Japan. So check this out. Japanese stock market crash in biggest one-day drop ever. Ever. Not in they always say, oh, this is the biggest crash of the year or the biggest crash of the decade. No, this is the biggest crash ever. So Japanese stock market crash, biggest one-day drop ever as global market rout intensifies. Japanese stocks suffered their biggest ever daily loss Monday as fears about U.S. economical slowdown sent shockwaves through the global markets. The Nikkei 225 index of leading stocks in Tokyo lost a staggering 4,451 points, its biggest drop in history. The index closed more than 12% down, taking its losses since early July to 25%, entering bear market territory. This was a crash. It smelled like 1987. Neil Newman, head of strategy at Astral Advisory in Tokyo, told CNN he was referring to Black Monday in October 1987 when global markets plunged and the Nikkei went down 3,836 points. Fears of a sharp slowdown in the U.S. economy have raised expectations that the Federal Reserve will have to slash interest rates. So it seems what we have going is just like a cascading effect. Japanese stock market crashing. I also read that they had to shut down like the one of the stock markets out there in Asia. I think it was Korean stock market. They had to close that down completely. It was crashing so bad. And then you have, of course, the U.S. stock market basically following, crashing as well. So here's Rand Nooner. He kind of sums it up in a few minutes of exactly what's going on.
So it's spreading around the world. You could see that the Korean stock exchange banned trading or stopped trading. The Japanese circuit breakers kicked in and stopped trading. And this is one of those Black Fridays, Black Mondays type collapses. This is a COVID style collapse, a 1987 style collapse. This is a real global collapse. Let's talk about what's causing the collapse and what we should be doing about it. And I know we did speak about it last week, but I think we should speak about it again. In essence, it started last night. And I was watching this last night and I was tweeting about it. And what we started to see one of the biggest players in crypto starting to unwind their position. Jump trading, which we'll talk about later, started to unwind positions at a crazy rate. We saw this happening yesterday. They were transferring millions and millions of dollars into exchanges, and they were liquidating them as quickly as they possibly could. And a lot of people thought that jump trading is or still may be going insolvent. So we were watching that, and that started to push down crypto prices. Then a few hours later, the Nikkei index opened. And when the Nikkei index opened, all hell broke loose. Effectively, when the Nikkei index opened, it opened here, and we went down about about 13% today. We went down about 13% before we had some kind of recovery. And the recovery is super important. We're going to be talking about the recovery in a couple of seconds. That, of course, spread to all risk assets and all global markets. And you could see that in crypto, $1.1 billion of long positions were actually wrecked. So the entire market got completely wrecked. In fact, more crypto was liquidated in the last 24 hours than on any single day in the past 3 years. This was a serious market meltdown. And so let's look at what actually caused the meltdown, because I think that's the question on everybody's mind. And even if you did miss the show last week, maybe this is a good time for us to just remind people why we're going through what we're going through, and where it's going to come out. So first of all, I did make multiple videos about it. If you didn't watch the videos, it's probably a good time to go back and watch a few of the videos. Watch the video here with Arthur Hayes. Watch the video that we made here. This one called They Killed Altcoins. Those are the ones that you should be looking at. I also wrote this tweet, and I think we should go through this tweet because this tweet explains what's actually going on and what this Japanese cash and carry trade actually is. So for those of you who don't know what the Japanese cash and carry trade actually is, just imagine this. In Japan, for the last 30 years, they have had zero interest rates. So if you look at the Japanese interest rates and you go back as far back as you remember, you can go back to like 1995, and you can see since 1995 there were zero interest rates in Japan, except for like a few little short periods in time. There were zero interest rates in Japan. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you can borrow money for 0% and you can invest that money and you can generate a return, well then why wouldn't you borrow as much as possible to go get the return? So let me give you an example. If you have no money, you can go and borrow $1 million or 10,000, let's just say $1,000 in Japan. You can take that $1,000 and you can invest it in a UST bill and you can earn 5%. You'd be making $50 a year, and then you would be making $50 a year, and you wouldn't have to pay any interest on holding your yen carry, right? And the same thing you could do, you could borrow $1,000, you could invest it in a stock like Nvidia, and at the end of the period, you could just return the $1,000 because there's no interest on the $1,000. Now, when people can borrow money at no cost, what do? Well, they borrow as much money as...
Anyway, not going to play the whole thing, but essentially people just borrowing money at zero interest rates in Japan, devaluing the Japanese dollar. Eventually, they have to raise rates in Japan, which kind of adds value to the Japanese dollar, but that means everybody kind of gets out of the market because now they have to pay interest on the on their investments, and they're kind of like, they're basically just selling their stocks. And that cascaded in Japan, Korea, United States, and it's just like it's a global stock market meltdown. This isn't a U.S. thing, just a Japan thing. This is global. What we're seeing right now is kind of like with COVID, where everything crashed. Every risk asset crashed. All the big top stocks are crashing. Nvidia, Amazon, Apple, everything's crashing. And like I said, what's the positive in that? The positive in is this isn't a crypto thing. This has nothing to do with you. You can look at Bitcoin right now and say, sir, Bitcoin, this ain't about you. This ain't about you, Bitcoin. And that's a good thing, because the kind of dumps that scare me the most are the ones that have to do with crypto. Like I said, Coinbase going under, hacks, Sam Bankman-Fried fraudsters getting exposed and getting arrested, major exchanges going under, major projects like Terra Luna going under. They're the ones that scare me because they're the ones that actually mean, wow, this is so bad, crypto could go to zero. But people aren't even thinking about crypto right now. Yes, crypto is jumping with everything else, but the good news is when everything comes back, when this whole recession thing's over, now that's another thing we have to get into. So on this channel, we said there's two things that are going to kill this crypto bull run. And I said a million times, you can watch my videos, I said I pray to God we don't go into a recession until this crypto bull market is over. Because if we do, it's going to kill the bull market. Well, it kind of looks like we might be going into a recession before the crypto bull market's over. Now, the question right now is, are we going into a recession, or is this just like recession fears and people are throwing the baby out with the bathwater? We don't know yet. We don't know. This whole thing could recover at the end of the week, or we could go into a full-blown one-year recession. Okay, What happens if this is a throw the baby out with the bathwater? Everything recovers in the next month and we're good, and this was just a blip in history, okay? What happens if we go into a recession? Well, if we go into a recession, which we are due for a recession, they generally last about a year, year and a half. And that's probably going to mean we're going to see Bitcoin at about $50,000 and all your altcoins pretty much where they are right now. We're going to see pumps and dumps, but we're not going to get anything crazy until we come out of a recession. Now, we could also be in a situation where we go into a traditional market recession. Stock markets crash, real estate crashes, and then Bitcoin kind of decouples from that after everything stabilizes and Bitcoin continues with its bull market. And that's kind of what I'm hoping happens if we do go into a recession. But like I said, worst case scenario is we're in a recession, everything sucks for the next year. Then we come out of the recession and we don't have to worry about a recession anymore. The recession's over and we can just kind of take off from there. What's going to happen? I really don't know. I think we're kind of 50-50 right now versus fear of a recession, but we're not going into a recession. Now we will, but maybe not till next year, or full-blown recession. It's on, and not just a United States recession, a worldwide recession. That's good news for Trump. It means Trump is definitely going to get elected. It's bad news for us investing in crypto and traditional markets because everything's going to crash and we're not going to make any money for the next year. And it's going to be depressing and nobody's going to have any money. The Fed's going to have to come in, probably pump money into the system, raise interest rates and all that shit that, could happen. So that's kind of what's happening. Tom Lee, a guy who I respect, was on CNBC this morning, and he's kind of talking about how, well, let's hear what he has to say. He's usually overall bullish, so let's hear.
Global advisors, as well as a CNBC contributor. In times like this in the past, it always would help to know, Tom, whether it's a sharp, scary spike down, which a lot of times the other side looks just like it, or people are hoping for that so much that they don't see that it might have longer to go. Do you get the feeling that this is not going to be a major sell-off?
For now, I think it is the former that you described. We have over 3 days, suddenly markets reversed and, Japan down over 20%. And as you're pointing out, the NASDAQ could even, decline further. Declines like that are generally symmetric, but you have to watch the VIX. And when the VIX peaks and starts to roll over and fall down, the recovery can be just as quick. I think a lot of this depends on whether financial conditions in the U.S. start to tighten, meaning like, do markets seize up? But with interest rates falling, the consumer's still in pretty good shape. I think on the other side of this, it'll look like a growth scare. But it doesn't mean that
it's a
today's
growth
the bottom.
Scare.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting that it almost looks like the market's doing what the Fed didn't do again. It's almost like once again they're there, but not really ahead of what's happening, and they're reacting, not anticipating, kind of again.
Yes.
On the way up and on the way down.
Yeah, the 2 years is signaling that the Fed is behind because 2-year yields have fallen further. But it does seem like, as we look back, a lot more this is because of the surprise hike from Japan and the sort of knock-on effects from there. If that is the primary source of the reaction, I know it's going to be tumultuous for markets, but for the U.S. economy, it's not necessarily bad news. And I think that's what...
So that's really interesting. So according to Tom Lee, he thinks this all caused by Japan. Japan increased their rates, and it kind of created a cascade throughout the markets. But Japan is not the United States. So if the Japan market crashes, if there's problems in Japan, the United States is eventually going to basically say, hey, this has nothing to do with us, and kind of take off from there. And that's what Tom Lee is saying. And that's certainly a possibility because, in all the research I've been doing over the last couple of days on this, everybody's linking this back to Japan. You have the job numbers and things like that kind of were like the cherry on top, but everybody's saying Japan. So this could be something that just blows over. I'm not going to pretend to know. I'm just kind of looking at things, Worst case scenario, best case scenario. Am I getting out of crypto? No. Am I looking to buy cheap crypto? Yes. Am I overall bullish in the markets? Yes. Could a recession delay things by up to a year or more? Yes. Do I think when we come out of whatever we're going on right now, this recession or fears of a recession, do I think the bull market's going to continue? Yes. All my research over the last couple of days, is anything wrong with the crypto markets? Is the Bitcoin blockchain secure? Yes. Is Charles Hoskinson still doing a great job with Cardano? Yes. Is Brad Garlinghouse still leading Ripple? Yes. Is Ethereum still growing? Yes. There's still people in the ETFs. There's no negative news on crypto. This is just to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Oh my God, we got to sell everything. We got to sell everything that's a risk asset. And that's exactly what's going on right now. And we've seen this before. We've seen flash crashes like this before. COVID. This exact same thing happened and we come back. So it's going to be an interesting week. I think we're going to recover. I think we're probably bottoming out very, very soon. I was listening to Alessio. He's talking about when he's going to be buying back in. He thinks we're pretty close. And let's just listen to this clip. He's talking about the stock market, but this kind of appeals to Bitcoin as well.
In the previous video, that at what point would I consider getting back into the stock market? At what point would I consider getting bullish on the market? Now, I'm not there yet, okay? But these are some rules I put down here for you. These are not all the rules, but it's some of them, some of the more important ones. So I would say, very important, I would wait until the markets are oversold. We're not there just yet. So before I consider getting back into the market, okay, before I consider buying into the market, and not just yet, I would need to see oversold conditions on the S&P, okay? Divergences, positive divergences on lower time frames. We haven't got that just yet. Sentiment, pessimistic. We haven't got that just yet, okay? I would need to see the beginning of an uptrend, like a higher low, higher high, on a lower time frame, okay? Like a 60-minute, 4-hour chart. We haven't got that. An impulsive rally. We haven't got that. A resistance break, a near resistance break. We haven't got that either. So guys, none of these conditions have been met yet. None of them, okay? The markets are not oversold. We haven't got divergences. We haven't got pessimistic sentiment and so on and so on. So at this moment in time, I'm not willing to get bullish just yet. But I think we could get there maybe sometime in the next few weeks. Let's wait and see. The bottom line is, guys, I don't think we've reached the bottom just yet. Okay, let's wait and see what happens.
Okay, and I agree with that. Basically what he's saying is we haven't reached the bottom yet, most likely. Now, he came out with this video. Oh, this video was only an hour ago. So I think this was right before the stock market opened. So maybe we have reached the bottom because since this video came out, the stock market is down further. Now, if you look at Bitcoin dropped to, I believe, $49,000. Now we're back up to almost 54. So was the bottom for Bitcoin $49,000? It's very possible, but I'm not going to come out and bet my life on it. Because if the stock market continues to dump, of course, we could see a Bitcoin hover in the $45,000 range. I even made a video yesterday. I said if we go into a recession, we're probably looking at a $45,000 Bitcoin. And I stand by that. Could even go lower. The good news is once this whole recession fear clears, we're gonna pump right back up. Bitcoin wants to pump back up. I mean, look, Bitcoin dumped to $49,000, then it went back up to 55. Now we're almost back at 54. Bitcoin does not want to be dumping right now. Okay, it just doesn't. It doesn't because, like I said, this has nothing to do with crypto. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin. It has to do with people just throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like Alessio said, we're almost there. If you got money on the side, cost average right now, we might go lower. It's very possible. And just kind of cost average from there. That's how it goes. That's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to deploy a couple $1,000s on my end this week. I don't have a lot of dry powder right now. I'm kind of tied up in real estate. But I do have a couple $1,000s that I can spare that I probably will be putting into coins like Cardano, Theta, maybe even a little bit more Ripple. Because I think Ripple's I think the minute this thing clears, Ripple's going right back up to 70 cents. So that's kind of where we are, guys. It does suck. It is depressing. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really depressed. I really don't care. Oh, you also have the war threat. Biden to meet with national security team ahead of anticipated Iran attack against Israel. So there's a big rumor right now that Iran is going to attack Israel. If that happens, that's not going to be good for the markets either. So, I've been saying this for the last year. You guys can find my videos. I've been saying it. The two worst things for crypto in the markets, war and recession. Well, it looks like we have a little bit of both right now. So it's kind of a double whammy. It's a double whammy. I knew we were going to go into recession. I was really hoping it wasn't going to happen until after the elections and after the Bitcoin bull run. Maybe Biden, the Biden administration just couldn't prop this shit up any longer. And the whole Japan thing just kind of set off a cascade. That's very possible. But I think we're near a bottom. I think this week we're going to hit a bottom. And hopefully we're going to come out of it. We're going to monitor the situation. I'm excited. I like these crazy situations. They are fun. But this could mess up our Bitcoin timeline. The worst thing you should be doing right now is selling anything. Guys, this is buying opportunity. Like I said, I'm going to say it again because it's important. This isn't about crypto, okay? This has nothing to do with crypto. This is all about Japan and traditional markets and people just getting rid of their risk assets. So when we come out of this, crypto is going to come out as one of the biggest assets to recover. And I would bet my life on that one. When we come out of this, crypto is going to pump back more than Nvidia, more than all your top stocks, more than your stinky stocks, more than gold. Crypto is going to recover the hardest because there's nothing. Crypto is great. There's no problems. We got everything is the same as it was 2 weeks ago in crypto. Trump just spoke at the Bitcoin conference. Even Kamala Harris is now pro crypto. So everything is looking good. If you kind of ignore the fire surrounding what's going on right now. It sucks. I wish we weren't dumping because I really thought by the end of the summer we'd be at all-time highs. But look, crypto don't care about you. Crypto doesn't do what you want it to do. And you just have to ride the roller coaster. And if you ride the roller coaster long enough, you're going to make money. We still have a long ways to go. I think we're going to bottom out this week. I'll make some more videos this week, but I do think the bottom is near. We're seeing a nice big bounce. It could be a dead cat bounce for Bitcoin from 49 to 54, but once we start recovering and once the stock market bottoms out, Bitcoin's going right back to $60,000, and then we slowly make our way up from there. So that's it, guys. It sucks, but just look at the bright side. Everything's great with crypto. This is the Japan problem. If I was in Japan right now holding Japanese yen and Japanese stocks, I'd be saying, "Oh shit," I'd be saying, "Oh shit," but we're not Japanese. Although I do like Japan. I like the Japanese people, but we're not Japan, and this doesn't really affect us. We just have to dump down with the markets with everything else, but we will come back strong. All right, guys, let me see if I missed anything else. I think that's pretty much it. We covered Alicio. We covered the war. Markets melted down. Blah, 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 blah. Yep, we already covered that. Dow down 1,000 points. Yep, so we're still down 1,000 points. NASDAQ 4%. I think that's probably going to be it. I think we're very close to a bottom, but hell, what do I know, guys? We could be wrong. If we actually go into a recession, a full-blown recession, then we do have more room to go. But Tom Lee, who's almost always right, thinks this is basically just caused by Japan and we're going to pull out of it. Let's see. And Alicio, who is another guy I respect, thinks the bottom is near. So that's two positives. All right, guys, like and subscribe. Talk to you later.